So, thank you very much for joining us on the Exile Minds podcast with me, your incredibly famous and dashing host, Liam Martin. And we're talking about the Bohemian Grove today, the Bohemian Club. So, on with this Bohemian Club then. So, in this Bohemian Club, it says today's the membership of the Contemporary Times, the Bohemian Club is proud of its history as a haven for artistic and intellectual practitioners. And this is where it gets a bit of an issue. This is why I wanted to do the show, because it's talking intellectual practitioners. That's another non-explanation. What do you mean by that? I'll tell you what it means by that. Intellectual practitioners is talking about business leaders and world leaders, because they're the people that go. All right. I know who he's talking about by looking at the people that go. So okay, so it's all well and good saying I just want artists and musicians to come and do drama and some literature people. But no, world leaders come to this place, and this is why I wanted to show about it. Because they're all getting together and it's a private club. It's a men-only club, which you don't normally get these days, sexism and stuff. Okay, so we've got this gentleman in the club. They're calling it the four pillars within it with plus one. So really five pillars, and that's five pillars of Islam. They've got religious kind of speaking, yeah. And say men only club, I'm proud of its tradition. Talking about intellectual practitioners, it mentioned the sciences. No, we have who goes to this thing is we have science leaders, world leaders, business leaders, all those people like the World Economic Forum or Davos, yeah, or the Bilderberg Group, if you heard of them. These people that get together, or the G8 summits. It's all those same kind of people, right? They're all these big people that you get, the leaders in that they all get put in front of you. It's those people get together every year, right? It says, yeah, it says on the website, this club is composed of professionals and semi-professionals in the arts. Well, science is also known as the arts. And science is coming from alchemy from back in the day, which is a kind of an art form. And some sciences are like being a surgeon, let's say. You've got to have a steady hand. You got to know your stuff. And you might have seen the Doctor Strange films. It is a kind of art form. Some people are, good at stuff, or like coding. Coding's a kind of an art form. And some people talk about really nice code and really neat. Or doing audio production is a kind of an art form. And getting the waveforms. If you're into audio and you're a bit of like an audio person, you can look at the waveform of like an MP3 or an audio file, and you can tell stuff just by seeing it. You can tell if it's a nice shape. Okay. And even in waveforms, you get wave tables for synthesizers. So if you pick if you turn the knobs to make a certain wave, you'll get a certain sound. So you'll get a clap or some white noise or a hit like a drum. So it's like, yeah, it's an art form. And science is like an art. So it's like these are saying, oh, let's have a bit of an arty drama thing every year. Okay. It says there are no restrictions as to the race, religion, or national ancestry, sexual orientation, or physical handicap. Aside from talent, interest, or the bent of patronage in the arts, the only requirement for membership is that applicants must be male and at least 21 years of age. Today, there are 2,600 active members and a sizable waiting list for admission. So anyone can apply, but you have to be, it says it itself, deemed worthy. And it's all these top business people and world leaders. So I've always found it odd that this is like a drama group for the top people of the world. So the elitists, so and so. So, like I say, I didn't want to jump on the conspiracy website because famously Alex Jones sneaked in and took a video of it. And they were really offended that anyone's gone in there and you're not a very gentlemanly, honourable chap. But when you see you can look this up yourself. I've not linked it, but you can look it up yourself and we'll get into talking about it. So I've not put any links in there for that or anything. I just got a link for this and a couple of others, which we'll get into. But like I say, this show is only about me and the computer talking about it. I'm just asking it what the hell it is. Okay. So just going on to this last little bit. It says, let's say, there's 2,600 members and a sizable waiting list. It goes on to say that the club values the ability or interest of the arts, true interest in the club's purposes. That's why they was really offended at Alex Jones sneaking in, because he just wanted to see what it was about. He's not applied. So, and it's got very high security as well, very high tight security. Okay, so it says, the club values the ability or interest of the arts, true interest in the club's purposes and traditions, gentlemanly conduct, and willingness to participate and contribute to club activities. You have to participate in whatever they do there. It's in the rules. And you have to contribute to the club's activities. It's in the rules. Okay, you have to participate. If you join there and go, you have to participate. As an important point to come up later. You have to participate. The club is an equal opportunities employer. It's not got any race or religious boundaries. Okay. Women and guests of the Bohemian Club members are included throughout the year in selected events at the City Club at the Bohemian Grove. So here's the deal. It's a gentleman club only, but the wives are allowed to come and the kids are allowed to come, but only for certain times, and then they have to leave. Okay. So this is the thing. Going on. The club is a refuge. In fact, let's just jump. Okay, let's just read this last bit because it's like there's not that much left on this. So I'll finish this off and then we'll go into the script and we'll smash through this. So the club is a refuge. So it's calling it a refuge, and yeah, like I say, there's a lot of tight security and it's in some woodland area out of the way. So okay, a bit of a refuge. One of the exaggerated notions about the Bohemian Club is that it is a gathering and a decision-making place for national and international, quote, power brokers. It says that on the website. That's not me adding that. Okay. So it's hinting at people are suspicious about this place. It's even addressed the suspicion itself here. One of the exaggerated notions about the Bohemian Club is that it is a gathering place for a decision-making place for national and international power brokers. In fact, the club is a refuge from decision-making and other pressures. The club's motto, weaving spiders, come not here. And this is supposed to convey the club's character and purpose as a social and advocational organization. An advocational organization conducting business here is prohibited. So you're not allowed to conduct business there, of course. But then again, you don't conduct business. When you have meetings over a coffee, you don't do it there and then, do you? No, you say, come to my office, don't you? And stuff like that. So I don't know. Anyhow, to Bohemians, what they call themselves, any member who contributes to the club's purposes is a celebrity. It's put it in quotes. What do you mean it's a celebrity? If you contribute, you're a celebrity. But hang on a minute. You have to contribute. You have to participate. It's in the rules. So that means everybody is considered a celebrity. That seems odd to me. I've never read any of this before. I've done this on purpose to not read it and then get a real reaction. Okay, then. So Bohemians, any members who contribute, which you have to the club's purposes, is a celebrity. Oh, okay, so you're self-deeming yourself a celebrity. So everybody there, 2,600 people who are members, are self-deeming themselves as celebrity. Seems a bit odd to me. Seems it's a bit self-aggrandizing and inflating your ego. Isn't somebody else supposed to consider you a celebrity? Like calling yourself a hero. You're not a hero if you call yourself a hero. If somebody else calls you a hero for doing a heroic act, then you're a hero. You can't call yourself a hero. You can't call yourself a celebrity. You can't deem that other people find you, impressive. You can't call yourself a guru or a master. Somebody else has to call you a master, guru, celebrity, or a hero. It's a label that you get by earning it that other people give you. You can't give it to yourself. So that's what I feel about that. But going on, what impresses the membership are gifts of talent, time, and the effort that the members contribute to the club's own unique activities. So the more talent you have, or the more time you give it, or the more gifts you bring to it, or the more effort you put into it, gives you a higher status in the club. Okay. The membership comes from all walks of life, and the club aims at all times to be genuine, to be a genuine home for artistic participation, that word again, and appreciation, combined with good fellowship and a generous spirit. Okay. San Francisco and Sonoma. The current City Club in San Francisco was built in 1832. Okay, so the Bohemian Club is in California, but the Grove, yeah, I was pretty sure. I knew it's near San Francisco, I think it's about 30 miles north of San Francisco. So, city center. So, yes, San Francisco and Sonoma. This must be where the Grove is, the little retreat refuge place. Okay, so the current City Club in San Francisco was built in 1932. Okay, bearing in mind it was 1872 or whatever, 1882, whatever, when they first started it. I think it was 1872 is where the club was first established. But then in 1932, they've established this camp called Bohemian Grove. So in San Francisco, built in 1932 and contains dining rooms, a library, an art gallery, a large theatre, costume and scenery shops, and social rooms. So you can get costumes there, or hire some costumes while you're there, so you can parade around as something else. Okay. In fall, winter, and spring, the City Club's principal activities are weekly productions written and produced and performed almost entirely by the members. So they write performances for themselves. Okay, doing drama entirely by the members and include a wide variety of theatrical and musical presentations. The club also holds monthly art exhibitions, classical music recitals, and lectures and readings of the works of well known and emerging authors. There are also many scheduled and spontaneous performances. Okay, spontaneous performances by soloists and small musical groups, book discussion groups, science and health presentations. Okay, science and health presentations. That was not with the original four pillars, but they add that on science as a fifth pillar, which then is including health presentations, but they're highlighting specifically health presentations. There's loads of sciences, but they're pointing out health presentations as well as the art and photo exhibits. Okay. Musically talented members can participate in a 90-piece symphony orchestra and a 75-piece concert band or 140 voice chorus. Well, that's the numerology number. For freedom, 1 and 4, 140 comes out as 5, because 1 plus 4 makes 5, plus 0 is still 5. And 5 is the numerological number of freedom, of casting yourself free. Okay. So they've got an 140 voice choir and an 18-piece jazz band, which numerology for that, 1 and 8 makes a 9, which is the God number, the never changing number 9, because if you multiply 9 by any number, then add up the digits, it comes to 9. So, and they have numerous smaller music events and vocal groups. The club also owns Bohemian Grove. There's a large park-like camping retreat, which we're talking about, situated on the Russian River in Rio, California. Oh, it is in California then. The Russian River. I never know there was a thing called the Russian River. I think that's intriguing, isn't it? With outdoor theatre venues, the 4 pillars, which was literature, or the arts, drama, and music, and the additional 5th pillar of the sciences, which it highlights and quotes in inverted commas, or in quotation marks. 4 pillars plus 1, sciences, focuses events performed by Bohemian Grove are a culmination of creative and a production process undertaken by the City Club during the year. So the the club sets up some presentation they're going to do, some events they're going to do, and people can bring their own events and their own presentations, whether it be music, a science presentation, some drama stuff, or you can spontaneously just do stuff. All right. Okay. So I think this is funky. I think this is a funky place, and like I say, the Alex Jones video kind of freaked me out years ago. So what I did was ask the computer about it. So what I'm going to do now, how long have we been going? Screwed up with the audio earlier. So we've been going about half an hour. So we'll just assume I missed 5 minutes at the start. So we'll go for another 5 minutes and I'll drop a break in quick. I'll just do the intro here. So basically, what we're going to try and do on this episode, just to rehash, we're going to try and unravel the enigmatic secrets of Bohemian Grove. It's a clandestine retreat. Clandestine. Computer called it clandestine retreat. This is a script the computer wrote. It's on public information. So, yeah, the clandestine retreat is nestled in the serene woods of California. So we'll have a look at this exclusive camping ground. ChatGPT. Okay, let's have a look at the script. So this, I'm going to read exactly what I said. Okay, I did a quick flash of it earlier. So, for posterity, as they say, you can always rewind the video in the future and just see where there was a script from ChatGPT that I copied in. But anyway, so I've literally put this. I go on to it. I talk to it like a person. I've been polite to it and whatnot. Like a buddy. So I say, hey, I've been thinking again. I wonder what you can tell me about Bohemian Grove. So ChatGPT's response was, Bohemian Grove is an exclusive campground in California, known for hosting secretive annual retreat for memberships largely consisting of influential men from various industries like politics, business, and media. The retreat includes rituals, performances, and discussions. It often sparks curiosity and speculation due to its privacy and its notable figures who attend. The Grove's most famous event is the Cremation of Care ceremony, a symbolic ritual involving a mock human sacrifice performed in front of an artificial owl statue. Some conspiracy theories have emerged around these events, linking it to dark and clandestine activities, but it's largely considered a theatrical performance with no actual sinister implications. Overall, whilst it's a place of intrigue due to its secrecy and powerful individuals who gather there, it's important to note that much of what happens there remains private and speculative due to the tight-lipped nature of the attendees. So, okay, that's mainstream stuff. This is public information stuff. I've just asked the computer, what's Bohemian Grove? And it specifies powerful people going there. Yeah. It specifies notable figures. Yeah. It specifically said, but that's different to what the club said. The club said, oh, it's just drama people. It's just literature, art, music, drama people. Maybe a few scientists. They kind of play it down. They're not mentioning the world leader stuff. And like I mentioned before, it's like, well, they're being really wordy. And there's a whole sentence there of like non-sentence where they're just going, oh, for those who, by reason of the love and appreciation of the objects and their interest in participating in club activities may be deemed eligible. Well, just say it. Politicians, just say it. Why are they skirting around it, I wonder? I find that a bit sus, I do. I find that a bit suspect. But anyway, back in the script. So yeah, so the computer, all I've said is what's Bohemian Grove? Okay, the computer calls it clandestine. Okay, it says its most famous event is the Cremation of Care. Okay, the Cremation of Care. All right, and it points out that it's this powerful individuals gathering there. Okay, well, artists and musicians and literature writers and drama people, are they really powerful people? I don't know. Maybe some musicians are. But what are they? No, they haven't got any power, have they? How have authors and musicians and drama people doing? No, but the powerful people is the fifth pillar that they don't like to mention. The sciences and the world leaders that they're skirting around, not actually saying they invite those people, but ask the computer, ask the AI, and the leaders of the world, gathering in secrecy. So, okay. So I've asked it, well, what time of year does this happen? And the computer says the main annual retreat at Bohemian Grove typically occurs mid to late July. This period is when members gather for around 2 weeks, not just a day, for a 2-week event. So they're sleeping there, I guess, they're stopping there. The exact dates are scheduled and schedule are a closely guarded secret. They don't even announce what day it's going to be at. They've got super tight security and they're there for 2 whole weeks. And access to the area during this time is highly restricted to members and invited guests only. Yeah? So it's a super secret gentleman's club that tells you on its front face that it's just a bit of art and drama and music, just having a laugh. But an impartial AI says, no, 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 no. There's loads of world leaders. There's loads of world leaders and top scientists going there, and they're kind of skirting around it. Hey, Daryl in the chat. Hey, Daryl. Glad you could join us. I had a bit of a screw up today, Daryl, but we'll get through it. Bohemian Grove. We're just doing a show on Bohemian Grove and see what the computer said about it. Ask ChatGPT, what do you think? What's Bohemian Grove? Tell me about it. And we're just reading the script. So I'm wondering about this. So this computer is saying, okay, it does this Cremation of Care and it's in mid-July. And so I've asked it just occurs, well, if political leaders are attending with high-powered businessmen, then isn't it natural to be concerned, due to the fact of its secrecy, that there should be no need for it to be secret? So I said, what do you think about that? What's the need for it? If there's powerful business people and world leaders meeting together, why is it all in secret? That was my question. So, I mean, I don't know, but I think I better take a quick break for the radio clock stuff. I think we're about on that sort of time. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think so. So I've got to put one in there somewhere, and I'm gonna have to edit some of this anyway. So let me just drop a little bit of music in. We'll come back in just a couple of minutes. Where does that go? There. And yeah, just fade this in. And yes, Exile Minds podcast with me, Liam Martin. We're back after this break to talk a bit more about Bohemian Grove. We'll blast through it and see what the computer had to say about it. Not me, the computer. Back in just a sec.
To begin at the beginning.
Welcome back, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. Exile Minds podcast, me, your incredibly famous and dashing host, Liam Martin. Had a few screw-ups today. I'll get rid of the music. Turn that down. My slider's broke, so I have to lean over and twizzle the knob. Twizzle your knob. But yes, so done that. Music's gone. Thanks for bearing with us. A little break there. Let's get rid of the little ticker thing. And yes, so back on with the show. Exile Minds podcast, I had a discussion about what Bohemian Grove is with an AI language model. Thought, see what it's got to say about it. So that's what we're doing today. Had a bit of a screw up at the start of the show, no sound, technical error I've never seen before. And I'm an hour and a half starting the show late because I was trying to feed this homeless guy who was actually clean and not a drug addict. So I went to give him some chili, but I didn't get it to him in time. So I'm late doing the show. And it's full moon. Oh! But I feel energized when it's full moon. So maybe I'm just a loon. But anyhow, on with the show. Exile Mind podcast. Let's go, go, go. So yes, Bohemian Grove, political leaders are meeting up at this thing. So I've asked the computer, because this is it's just mainstream stuff. It's just public information. I've just asked the computer, what's Bohemian Grove? And then questions keep popping up from there. So I've just asked it, and that's all I'm reading. That's the script of what the computer said. So let's go carry on then. So, right. So what it says was, I'm asking it, okay, if political leaders are meeting up, power businessmen, isn't it natural to be concerned due to the fact that it's super secret and they're all really powerful people getting together? Why do you need it to be secret? And so the computer says, because it's very impartial. It's not doing identity politics. You don't need to. Computer's impartial. So it just tell you what it thinks. It tells you logic. It follows the logic train. Okay. So the computer says about this, about what do you think about, if there's world leaders and powerful people, the 5 pillars. There's 5 pillars of Islam, remember, and this Bohemian Club has got 4 pillars plus science. Hello, that means 5, which is the number of freedom in numerology, casting yourself free. Right? Remember this because it will come up. And the Cremation of Care, that's an oxymoron, but we'll get to that. So yeah, the secrecy surrounding events like Bohemian Grove can indeed raise eyebrows, especially when influential figures from politics and business convene behind closed doors. It's natural for people to be curious and even concerned about gatherings where decisions or discussions might take place outside of public scrutiny. Obviously, they're going to talk. You think they're going to be in silence for 2 weeks and they've got over 2,000 members, over 2,500 members, and they're not going to be in silence the whole time, are they? And maybe only 100 of them turn up. But they're not going to be in silence, and that's 100 people. So 2,000, and they're members, and you have to be male to be a member. Friends of members can come, women and children can come, but only at certain bits, and then they have to go home, and only on certain times. So it's mostly men, and there's 2,600 signed up, and there's a massive waiting list. So they say a lot, So, and supposedly anybody can apply, but you have to be deemed worthy. That's what it said on the website. So, okay, so sometimes, the secrecy often fuels speculation, and then it will create can create mistrust, especially when powerful individuals gather without transparency. However, it's essential to acknowledge, here comes ChatGPT with its disclaimer, it's essential to acknowledge that not all private meetings or retreats are inherently malicious or intended to manipulate public affairs. Yeah, sure. I would go with that. However, you can have private affairs in small groups, can't you? Why do you need them in really big ones? In really big groups? 2,000 people is a lot. I don't know how many people are attending, but it seems to be a lot of people attending. There's at least hundreds. Yeah, you can have private affairs. You can have private phone calls. You can have private gatherings at your house, can't you? Invite them around for a barbecue. That's private affairs that, But these are going to an event that's in private. It costs a lot of money. Who's paying for this? What's going on? And it's a lot of very, very powerful people getting together en masse in secret. And that's where I've got a bit of an issue with it. But going on from what the computer thinks, sometimes these events serve as opportunities for networking. Well, sure. Okay, that's fair enough. Okay, but don't they have cocktail parties and stuff all the time and award ceremonies and pat each other on the back all the time and go to, G8 summits that are public? So you've got network opportunities anyway. And if you're a so-called, quote, powerful person, you don't need to network, do you? You could just phone them up, get your assistant to get me the number of so-and-so, So they can network anyway, and they've got loads of money. And they've got loads of taxpayer money that lets them go on private jets all over the place. So they don't need to network. They could just hop on a jet and just go and visit someone's home if they want. So it's not like us. It's not like us. We have to network and go to places to meet people because we're not rich. We can't just hop into a helicopter, can we? So I'm not buying it on that one, the networking thing, because but you get to network anyway with your other stuff. And you can have private parties, and you know what I'm saying? This is a big event, It's a big event. Like mentioned earlier, but it might have been when the sound was off. It's much akin to these events where the UN meet up, or the EU meet up, or the G8 summits meet up, or G7 or whatever it is now. And, it's the same kind of event, and it's super tight security. And if it's just some private barbecue where they're having a bit of a camping trip for, how tight do you need the security to be? Is it because they're afraid of getting, assassinated, or what? But what's with the secrecy then? Why don't you just show us some cameras from? Let's just see it. Have your tight security so people don't try and assassinate leaders. Great, I get that. Why don't you just show us? Especially if it's causing loads of problems, and as the computer points out, it creates mistrust. We have secrecy, and let me ask you this: how do you feel that the politicians are more trusted now? Are they in a position in this current era, at this current time, where people have got a lot of trust in politics? The polls say absolutely not. So why keep doing the mistrust things? Why fuel it, with the secrecy? Anyway, so sometimes these events are opportunity for networking. Okay. Discussions on policy simply as a retreat for sometimes these events serve as opportunities for networking, discussions on policy, or simply as a retreat for relaxation, socializing amongst influential people. Yeah, the lack of transparency can contribute to suspicion. Exactly, like it has for me. So you'll have suspicion about the potential backdoor derailings or decision making without public accountability. Right? The computer's pointing this out. Obviously, that could happen, could be happening. What they're going to talk about. Ultimately, while the secrecy itself can be concerning, it's challenging to make concrete judgments about the nature of the discussions or decisions made without more information. Exactly. The lack of transparency can certainly raise questions, but without solid evidence of wrongdoing, it remains a topic of speculation. Exactly. You'll never know what's going on. You never know what's happening. Right? And they're already not very trustworthy. There's a joke, isn't there, that if a politician's lying when their lips are moving. That's a joke. It's an old joke. So people have been thinking that for a long time. So then I got to ask you again, well, what do you think about, the way that the club talks in this Cremation of Care? Because Cremation of Care sounds like an oxymoron to me. And I'm pointing this out to the computer later on. But anyway, right. So this is what I've asked. I've said it to the computer. So it's explained all of this. Yeah, it can raise eyebrows of secrecy and it's a good opportunity for networking. So I say, well, so considering politicians often and do not have, don't have the public trust, couldn't it be argued that they're making it worse with events like these? All right. So the computer's like, certainly. Events like Bohemian Grove can contribute to the existing distrust between politicians and the public. While politicians participate in exclusive gatherings, that lack of transparency can reinforce the perception of an elite class, disconnected from the concerns and interests of the general populace. And that's what we're always most angry about, at least me. And then with the medical crisis, there's been a lot of trouble, at least in Britain, with politicians giving out contracts to the friends, multi-million-pound contracts to the friends. And our NHS, our health service, has been failing for 50 years, getting in a decline for 50 years. All the services in every area, and it can be provable and qualifiable that it's worse. We used to have much more district nurses. Doctors used to come to your house 50 years ago. Literally. Dr. Vernon Coleman, who's retired now, I've heard him talking about it, where he says that when he started, so you had district nurses, doctors will come to your home, and over the time that he was there, he's just seen it decline, and he's been very vocal about it. And he tried to start a rival to YouTube and just got absolutely hammered and attacked and hacked to death. Someone hacked him and leaked all the stuff to make him look bad, to crash it all. They've really gone after him. It's an NHS doctor of decade, was there for decades and then retired, and but no, he's no good. We've been talking about that in decline for a long time. So then, and they're giving out millions of pounds of contracts to the friends, and they're not going to jail. They're not even bothering to resign these days. And that's just in my country. It was just at one point. And then there's a disproportionate amount of consultancy contracting money going out to the NHS when it's really, really suffering now. Super duper suffering because of, the last few years, and everything's gone all to pot. And then we've already had long waiting lists, always had long waiting lists. And then, do you know what I mean? And then contracts are being thrown out all over the place, made it way worse. And we're supposed, that's why we're not trusting them in the minute. And I say again, especially in my country, in the UK and Britain, Britain's considered the least trusted news in Europe within Europeans, with the British tabloids. So you'd think they'd be trying to get our trust back so bad. So this is why these kind of events annoy me. Okay. So yeah, and the computer agrees. It's certainly, the events like Bohemian Grove are going to contribute to existing mistrust. The optics of of influential figures making secret, meeting in secret can indeed worsen the public trust. Okay, right. So openness and transparency are crucial for fostering trust between leaders and the public. Yes, obviously, it's doing logic. Okay. When politicians engage in secret gatherings, it can erode the credibility of their intentions and undermine the trust that people have as the representatives. Completely, that's why they're at the worst. And I put it to you, if mistrust is at its worst between politicians and the public at this time, like I say, you would think, why aren't they doing everything they can to get your trust? To prove authenticity. But all I'm seeing, they're doing the same thing of just saying whatever thinks the thing is going to make you happy. It's just rhetoric all the time. It's more rhetoric. There's just no substance to it, in my view. It's getting worse and worse and worse. So events like this, say, really don't help. Okay. So let's skip past a bit. So what did I skip next? Okay, yeah, I thought of this. Didn't JFK have a famous speech where he said that secrecy should be repugnant? Okay, so I put it to the computer. Well, didn't President JFK once express this sort of secret meeting ought to be viewed as repugnant? The computer says yes. President John F. Kennedy did express concerns about secret societies and the potential influence that they may exert. In a speech on the 27th of April 1961, he addressed the American Newspaper Publishers Association and spoke about the dangers of secrecy, covert influences, and covert influences in the government. While he didn't explicitly mention Bohemian Grove, he did emphasize the need for openness in government and the potential risks posed by secretive groups. The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. So secrecy should be repugnant in a free and open society. Think about that. If your society is free and open, there wouldn't be secrecy because it would be too repugnant. It's basically what Kennedy is saying there, just to reword it. Just reordered it, some algebra there. So yeah. So Kennedy's words highlight the importance of the transparency and openness in governance, suggesting that secret gatherings and clandestine influences could run counter to the democratic principles. While he didn't specifically reference a particular event or group, his sentiments align with the concerns about the potential impact of closed-door meetings and secretive organizations on public trust and democratic processes. So then I have to wonder, this statement from John F. Kennedy was also with reference to the military-industrial complex, as far as I thought. So I've asked it, and it's gone, the sentiment expressed by John F. Kennedy about secrecy and covert influences was indeed in alignment with the concerns about not only secret societies, but also the potential influence of the military-industrial complex, which is when industry and the military get together, contractors, just do their own thing. And there's no public scrutiny there because industry is private and the military is supposed to be public information stuff. Mix them together, boom shankar, the military gets private secrecy cover. Free rainbow insurance, yay! Right? Rainbow cover. So it covers everything. So, oh no, it's all in the private sector. Can't tell you business secrets, industrial espionage, da. We're not going to tell you. Right? Use it as an excuse. Like they use War of the Worlds, the radio broadcast about alien invasion and theatrical performance, like one of these. Well, they did that on the radio, didn't they? In the 30s, people were scared because they made out it was real, and then they go, "Oh, we'll use that as an excuse then to say, oh, you couldn't handle it if aliens were out there. We can't possibly tell you about it because you'd go crazy." No, saying we're not alone in the universe is very different to saying aliens are attacking right now. You're all going to die. Aliens are coming. They're coming to get you. Aliens, right. They're killing you. So now, we're all going to die. We're doomed. There's no hope. That's a very different sentiment. It's a very different sentiment to saying, oh, yeah, there are other people out there on other worlds and stuff, and they do visit. It's very different to saying we are currently under attack and we are doomed. Imminently, you're going to die. That's a setup. Setup to use it as an excuse. because ET has been coming here since a long time. You know, we've already been occupied and invaded, but they're just doing it in a covert way. You know what I mean? Two different sides holding each other in check, and they're not revealing themselves because one side's going to kick off then, and we'll start actually seeing some alien war. Do you know what I'm saying? So they're trying to keep it nice. So one side wants to keep secret so we don't find out they're trying to control it, are controlling us, and the other side don't want to reveal themselves, you know, because the other side will kick off. So there's this cat and mouse game that goes on in politics between us and the politicians that is the same cat and mouse game going on between two different side ETs that are at war, that have been at war since, you know, before Homo sapiens sapien. Yeah, we're caught in the middle. So, yeah. And some of us, probably all of us, probably don't even originally come from here. We come from all sorts of places. So these secret things, yeah, and there's some funky stuff about it as well. You know, and again, John F. Kennedy, secrecy should be repugnant if your society is free and open. That's what Kennedy said. And did President Eisenhower also warn about the military-industrial complex in his farewell speech? I think he did. Yes, says the computer. President Dwight D. Eisenhower did indeed warn about the military-industrial complex in his farewell address to the nation on January 17th, 1961, shortly before John F. Kennedy took office. In his speech, Eisenhower cautioned about the potential influence and power of the conjunction between the military establishment and the defense industry, including people like aerospace and the weapons manufacturers. This quote from the President Dwight D. Eisenhower. In the councils of government, this is what he said. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep rolling on, snowballing. Unless, of course, people question it and ask it to be brought out demand that it be brought out into the open, lest it snowball into a gigantic snowball big enough to crush the earth, which is what it's trying to do, whether it means to or not. Right? Check your history. Do your homework. This is why, you get these people trying to take over the world, and then things start collapsing under the weight of their own madness. Yeah? Think about a pyramid. They show us the Illuminati pyramid, right? It's upside down. Because the masses are the base for it. The masses are the base for it. The general workforce are the base for it. They're doing all the work. And if you crush them, guess what? There's nothing to hold the pyramid up. No one's took over the world yet. Non-human beings have took over the world and ran the world. They can't. Because once you've crushed enough people, then there's not enough to run the machine, and then the machine collapses. And you're never going to be running the world anyway, because aliens are doing it already. Beat you to it. And they tried to sell us off for trinkets with some weak-ass weapons, and we think they're really great. Obviously, they're not going to give you weapons that you can destroy them with and throw off the oppression. They're going to have incredible galactic-style better weapons. I know. We think, we've got laser beams and plasma and that. We've got planes that go 7,000 miles an hour. We've got 20,000 miles an hour on cruise. Got planet busting, super, I don't know, whatever, Megatron cannons using cryptolithial plasma tachyons, whatever. Obviously, it's like if we went to the island where no one's actually been on the island with throwing spears at them and that. There's one island left in the world that's like that. If we go in there and decide we want to take that, are we going to give them our latest super secret black ops weapons in exchange for what? Some really special species of red cedar that they've got there. Nah. No. You give them a bow and arrow. And they'll think that is so good. That is such a good weapon, man. That's amazing. Revolutionary. And if you teach them how to ride a horse as well, give them some horses. Oh, man, cavalry archery versus whatever the other people have got. They'll be like, yeah, like Genghis Khan again. Because that's the only reason he was so I mean, you know, he had a really great weapon in the archery. It was just so good a weapon, and other people, it took ages to develop that, and then he got on horseback with it. So they had cavalry archery. Archery is one thing, but when you're on a horse, it's a moving target. It's, you know, and people get good at that, really good at that, where they can still dead accurate and just moving around all the time. You just can't deal with it. Can't deal with it at all. You need to have your own version, because you just cannot deal with a horse running around and arrows just flying at you. It's done. It's like carpet bombing. It's like the old school version of carpet bombing. This is why it's important to get transparency with everything, because we're talking weapons here. We're talking the economy. So many things can be used as a weapon. The economy, colour, sound, you know, bullets, bombs, you know, words. You can be weapons. And all this stuff's being used against us. So anyway, I think, are we due for another break? I don't think we are, because I started late. Right, another 15 odd minutes. But yeah, sorry, I'm going on a bit of a rant there, but it matters. It matters. And it relates to Bohemian Grove, because it's these same people that build this stuff, that do all this stuff, that are these people meeting. Right? That's why it matters to know what they're doing, especially when there's a lot of members and this place is funkier. Okay, so going on. Okay, so I asked the computer. Okay, so if Bohemian Grove didn't President Nixon? What did President Nixon have to say about it? Because I'm sure he went there, because it goes back that far. So the Grove was what, 1930s? So when it was started. So yeah, President Richard Nixon expressed a disparaging remarks about Bohemian Grove. So after it's only when it's not been going long, right? It's only been going a couple of decades. Yeah, what, like 30 years or whatever. It's only been going a few decades. Richard Nixon has been invited there because he's one of them people as a president. Right? So they're the people that are deemed worthy. So it's elitist club. It's an elitist club. You've got to be deemed worthy. Well, you've got to be in the club. Like George Carlin, the comedian, said, it's one big club and you're not in it. And this is the smoking gun of one of the clubs, or how it's all one big club. These secret societies kind of give you a bit of a hint. And if you look who goes to them, do your own homework, look who goes to it. You've got to put the pieces together and think, oh, these are really powerful people. And he works with them, and he works there, and he works with them, but they're not supposed to be. You know, you're like, hang on a minute. Right? And what national secrets are they giving away to each other? And if they're even if they're just having a barbecue, maybe they get drunk and accidentally do stuff and accidentally screw stuff up or make some arrangement. Because Boris Yeltsin, Russia, famously, if you go back to the 80s, man, he used to get drunk all the time. Right? And he'd do on-the-spot policies, drunk, like on TV. So if you're doing it on TV, maybe he's doing it behind closed, getting drunk and going, yeah, let's do this. You know? So that's the thing with Boris Yeltsin. And in fact, it was Chelsea football. It ties into English football, actually. Chelsea Football Club got an owner called a guy called Abramovich, who just bought the club, just bought the thing out, bought loads of amazing players, and then they won the league. Right? And he got his money because Boris Yeltsin was starting to be seen as, you know, not a very good leader, not going to get re-elected. And so it was Abramovich that made a load of money because through the aluminium industry, with these gangsters all fighting over it. So he helped Boris Yeltsin rebrand himself, right? And he got him as a more happy kind of president and got him dancing and getting a bit drunk and stuff, you know, right? And getting a bit more happy. And so it got raised his profile. It got him elected. It got him the re-election. So Abramovich gets loads of money. Well done, you, right? And then Abramovich goes to them gangsters that's fighting over the aluminium stuff and just pays them all off and takes over it. So then he's got his money from Yeltsin to to corner the aluminium industry, and that money was in the form of oil fields from Russia. So they'd keep paying you, don't they? Do you know what I'm saying? So he made a ton of money on aluminium, on the oil, then managed to do a good business decision on the aluminium, and then went in and just was able to have like tons of money. You know, got bulletproof like a yacht with like anti-aircraft guns on it and stuff, rockets and that. And then he's went in and bought Chelsea Football Club, bought a London Football Club, and just bought them to the top of the league. It's like, whoa. So they do meet up, they do get drunk, even if it's just a barbecue, there's some camping thing. We need to know. You know, we do need to know these things. And I've put, because I was referring to Alex Jones to see if it mentioned, I just wanted to see if it had mentioned it. I put to the computer, have any non-members ever infiltrated the event, such as reporters? Let's ask it. What does it come up with? So the chat GPT, who just looks on the internet and has a look. Oops. The penny dropped. So yeah, so ChatGPT, has anyone ever infiltrated the place, right, who aren't members? And it says there have been a few reported instances of individuals, including journalists, attempting to infiltrate or observe Bohemian Grove's activities. Some journalists and documentary filmmakers have made efforts to gain access. I'm glad it mentioned documentaries because that's referring to Jones in documentary. So yeah, some filmmakers have made efforts to gain access to the Grove during the annual retreat, aiming to uncover the document the secretive nature of the event. However, due to the tight security measures and the private nature of the gathering, successful infiltrations or comprehensive coverage from non-members has been extremely rare. Yes, it's extremely rare. The area is heavily guarded and access is strictly controlled, making it a challenge for outsiders to gain entry or observe the activities firsthand. A few instances have been reported where individuals claim to have infiltrated or gotten close to the Grove, but the details of the authenticity of the claims have sometimes been contested or remained unverified. Overall, Bohemian Grove has maintained a strong commitment to privacy and exclusivity, making it highly improbable for non-members, especially reporters and outsiders, to gain significant access or exposure to the event's proceedings. Well, I know, and you can look it up, that Alex Jones, for a fact, did get in there. For a fact, and hid in the woodland for ages so he could see the Cremation of Care and filmed it. And it's not mentioned his name, so it just shows you how censored that guy is. But he's the most censored person ever, isn't he, I suppose? So, yes, going on. We're going on. What time are we on? Is it? I don't know if I'm on break time because I messed it up. I think we've got another 5 minutes or so. So going on then to this Cremation of Care, because that's what Jonesy filmed. Okay, so the Cremation of Care. Because I said to it then, once it's mentioned that some people did manage to get in, I've put, can you please give details of what such people reported? What did the people report that did get in there? Because it's not mentioned Alex Jones's name. But it just says there have been a few accounts of individuals who's claimed to have infiltrated and observed Bohemian Grove to varying degrees. However, it's important to note that these reports often lack substantial evidence or verification due to the secretive control nature of the event. As a result, their credibility has been questioned by some. No, see, it doesn't know. It's not aware that that's absolutely been verified with a video from in the woodlands of the Cremation of Care. So we've at least seen that, and that was name of the person was Alex Jones, the Alex Jones show. It's known, it's well known. So ChatGPT, interestingly, ChatGPT wasn't able to reference that specifically. Like, done a really good job at censoring that guy, Okay, so the Cremation of Care then. This is what it brings up. This computer brings this up. Some alleged reports from infiltrators or observers have described the Cremation of Care, which they've already listed that as that's a ceremony they do. But what is it? This is one of the most talked about rituals at Bohemian Grove. Some accounts claim to have witnessed the Cremation of Care ceremony where participants in front of an owl statue perform a theatrical ritual symbolizing the release of worldly concerns. Releasing your inhibitions, that sounds like. That's another way to say it. So think about that. Releasing your worldly concerns, and they're saying, oh no, they're not meeting to talk about politics. They're doing the opposite to that. They're trying to forget all of that and just have a fun time. That's what it said on the website. Okay. They're just there having a fun time, just relaxing and doing not that. They're just doing fun stuff. Drama, art, all together, having fun. Okay, so they're going there to have fun. And it says releasing your worldly concerns, which is another way of saying releasing your inhibitions, which means, if you haven't heard the expression, it means let your hair down. Just have some fun, don't worry about it, enjoy yourself. It's later than you think, right? That's what that means. So the cremation of care is like an official ritual declaration that you can just let yourself go. And they're there for 2 weeks. And let yourself go for 2 weeks. That sounds like a rave. That sounds like a long ass music festival. Hardcore, all the top leaders, man. Let's see Biden getting it skanking and grooving, cutting some shapes. Right? That's what they're going for, to have fun. Do art, music, literature. And they can do spontaneous performances, can't they? And everybody has to participate and contribute, don't they? It's in the rules. We emphasised that earlier for this particular purpose. So, the cremation of care, theatrical ritual. Okay. They have lakeside talks and discussions, social activities, super high security. Okay. Yeah, people say they've seen that. Yeah, we have seen the super high security. So, I've asked it. The cremation of care, that seems like an oxymoron. It suggests not caring. There's no care if you're burning it. What do you think about that, ChatGPT? The name cremation of care does indeed seem paradoxical on the surface, suggesting the casting aside or burning of a care or concern. It's a theatrical ritual performed at Bohemian Grove, symbolizing the release of worldly concerns. Let your hair down, have fun, to encourage a sense of freedom or liberation among the participants. Feel free. Be liberate yourself. So are they walking around naked? Maybe they are. Are they doing nudism, naturism there? People do that. You can do that at the Boomtown Festival. Any member of the public can go, a big, massive festival than that. And you can, and they do tell you, some people do that. You know, when I went and they saw one couple, just two people, it's a man and a woman, only ones, but it wasn't a thing. It was just, didn't really care. Didn't really care, that place. You're just walking miles across fields. Well, not miles. Well, it probably is actually, the hills and that. You're just walking from event to event. There's loads just dotted all around. It's like made as like a big, massive town. So it's called Boomtown. You know, it's just, there's woodlands all over the place and this and that. And you're out in the middle of nowhere in England, in the south, when it's dead sunny. So, probably do that sort of thing at Burning Man, Glastonbury. People got big naked on these things, don't they? So why not? Right? It's no biggie. But they're there for 2 weeks and it's all big world leaders, but they're doing a special ritual to let their inhibitions go, to encourage that sense of just do whatever, like Mardi Gras. But Mardi Gras, you usually just do it for 1 day of letting your hair down, but you're doing it in public. So you can wear your stockings and suspenders and put your blue eyeliner on, and then the next day, the rules of Mardi Gras is you're not allowed to mock people. If you saw them do this or that, you just have a 1 day where everyone can do whatever the hell within reason, and then you forget about it. You're not allowed to not allowed to mock people about it afterwards and give them a hard time. But then I suppose through that, you're getting to find out people's inner stuff and you know a bit more about who they are, the extra dimension of a person that they don't normally show you. So it's like gifting each other with an extra dimension of yourself, right? Which is fair enough. So, but they're specific. So it sounds like this cremation of care is specifically trying to make like a 2-week-long Mardi Gras. To me, the way it's worded it, from what the computer's saying, that's what my opinion is. And yeah, and it's an oxymoron. And it says, however, interpretations can be widely varied. Some view it as a symbolic act, meaning significance of shedding the worries and the embrace of a carefree spirit during the retreat. Exactly what I'm saying. Okay. Allowing attendees to relax and engage in discussions of activities without the burden of everyday concerns, because they've got really big, heavy stuff on the shoulders, haven't they? So it makes sense to do something like that, and it's probably good for your mental health, right? So they probably are doing something like this. On the other hand, critics who are skeptical of the event often find the name troubling. Like I'm saying, it's an oxymoron, and it is a bit of a troubling term, cremation of care, as it can imply it can be a concern because it implies the disregard for responsibility or empathy. The cremation of care, and that's a bit of risk. It's alarming if it's politicians and people that can influence and shape the way that the world's going to be. And these days, especially, they're literally telling you the world's we're doing this, we're doing that, we're doing this, not asking us, they're not suggesting it. They're not suggesting anymore. They're just telling you, talking at you rather than to you, you know? So gets me gotta say. But anywho, am I supposed to be having a break now? I think I'm supposed to have some kind of a break at some point. I don't know. We're 50 minutes late. No, let's go on a bit more. Screw it. Oh, I don't know. Oh no, I've lost my timing. I think I'm going to jump in on a break. How long have we been on? Hour and a half, I think. Yeah, including a bit of a mess up. Well, let's just jump onto this next section because after... So, okay, so I pointed out it's an oxymoron. Okay, I pointed out it's an oxymoron. But it mentioned this owl statue to me. Talking like some, what was it, say 40 feet. So 40-foot statue with an owl. Okay. So we've done the Cremation of Care bit. So I'm thinking, all right, what about this owl then? What's this owl about? So I've said, what is the owl? And do they worship, in inverted commas, this owl statue? I want to know if they're worshipping it. What's the deal with this owl? ChatGPT, please tell me. And it said, the owl statue at Bohemian Grove is a prominent and visually striking feature of the retreat. The 40-foot concrete owl, known as the Owl Shrine or Moloch, sits at the center of the Grove's lakeside area. It's used as a focal point during the Cremation of Care, where a mock sacrifice takes place in front of it. What? Okay, a mock sacrifice. Tell you this, Guy Fawkes tried to blow up the House of Parliament way back in the day in England, and they captured him and tortured him and killed him, right? And every single year ever since then, on the 5th of November, everyone in Britain is encouraged constantly, and then through conditioning, everybody does it, to make a big fire, a big bonfire, just get loads of stuff together they can burn, and make a figure, get some old clothes and fill it with like paper or whatever and stuff, and fill it up and make a man and call it Guy Fawkes, and you've got to burn him on the fire. So you're constantly burning the man over and over and over and over and over again every single year. Everyone in the country does it as a mass ritual every single year. And there's even a rhyme, they go, remember the 5th of November. And there's like some kids rhyme. So that you've got to remember the one guy that tried to go against Parliament, we're going to torture him in the most horrible way and kill him forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And get all of us to do it over and over again, which like embeds your head with, it's disturbing as a kid to see like a man burning on a fire. Especially if you've like donated your pajamas to it, and then you start seeing your pajamas burning, and you start thinking about death, and then what if you get burned? And it can be traumatic for some kids. You think about it, and that happened to my nephew. He donated his pajamas, and he got traumatized by it. In the moment, like probably having a realization that could be me. And then you think about going against the government. That's what he did. I don't want to get burned on a fire, and then it embeds this idea into your head that if you go against the government in such a way that you're going to burn forever, and you think, well, this, we hadn't heard that side of the story. We hadn't heard his side of the story. What about Parliament? Why was he trying to do that? Because they thought they were corrupt, and we hadn't looked without the story. You're just making him a villain all the time. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but why keep doing it? I think it's to embed it in you, and that's exactly the same as the Cremation of Care ceremony. They're doing a mock sacrifice in effigy. Same thing, and I find that disconcerting, especially because of the bonfire night thing. But it's a funny coincidence because today is my 50th episode, which is the freedom number for setting your inhibitions, for casting yourself free. Yeah, and the reason I was late on the show today because I met a homeless guy that was clean, obviously not on drugs, so I'm getting some food. And I went back to give him some chili that I made, but then I missed it and come late on the show. And it turns out it was called Alan, though. My dad was called Alan, and he died on the 5th of November. On the bonfire night thing for the Cremation of Care, and today's the 50th episode, and it's a full moon. So there's a few synchronicities dropped in on this one for me. So, it's a bit weird, isn't it? And I've only just realised that just in this moment, all of them. Because like I say, this is a live reaction show. So, anyway, I think I should have a break because I need to make another cigarette and get a quick drink. So, I'll tell you what, we shall stick a bit of this all this music, and I make it myself. And these look like little block tracks of adverts, and I do the music myself as well. You know, do all the sample cutting, and if there's any quotes and that, and yeah, all good, man. I'm the guy. I'm the guy for Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting. I'm on there with Michael Strange, the flagship show. We've got James Salcedo Paranormal, covering the paranormal. Ghosts is good. He's like a paranormal ghostly expert, James is. So yeah, top guy. There's loads of great shows on there. You should check out the Troubled Minds Radio Network. I'm not great at advertising stuff, but trying to get better at it. But yes, so yeah, there should be an advert on here, and I'll put it on the screen so you can check it out. Yeah, they've got our own website on it's playing 24 hours a day on a platform called Live 365 Troubled Minds Radio. You'll find it. Or just put Live 365 KUAP in a browser search. It'll just come up straight away. But anywho, let's play some music then. I'll do a professional fading because this fader works on the left side. And it's still loading. So I'll just keep rapping about how great my show is. Exile Minds podcast, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and 10 p.m. GMT, but not today because I'm coming late. Anyway, back in just a sec after this break.
These guys got a I'm sorry. You think I'm crazy? No, come on, push yourself. No, not the eye.
No, Jerry. I think you're different.
6 major earthquakes in 3.5 years, and the space shuttle up in orbit with every single one of them. Don't you think it's a little bit strange?
Testing some top secret scientific weapons?
I know you. We've been looking for you a long time, Jerry. I'm testing music. You should say we're talking about the future.
I've got one that can see. Still don't see what it has to do with the president.
You see, I take these glasses off. She looks like a regular person, doesn't she, huh?
Europe at the moment, and in Turkey, right here along this fault line.
I've been looking at the earthquake in Turkey. I think I have some pretty solid information.
Have you ever been in a place in which hope is gone, where all that's left is patience?
The president's cutting funding to NASA, the milk cow of the aerospace industry. $1 billion. How's that for a motive? That's a lot of milk. That's a lot of milk. That's government planes. Oh, there's something fishy going on.
You're telling me that NASA is going to kill the president of the United States with an earthquake?
There's something fishy going on. Yep. Not exactly the kind of thing a Secret Service agent can, just throw himself on top of it. CIA. It's just what they'd be expecting if I'm making the point. I was right.
I have a boss I must answer to.
What was I right about? Someone else? I was wrong. What was I right about? I was wrong. You guys have
Michael Strange here from Troubled Minds. What's going on, guys? You know the way this works. We get together, we talk about the mysteries of the cosmos, we talk about all the things that seem like we're just getting together, having a fireside chat, sipping the maybe juice. Look, if you want to support the show, there are a number of ways. We have a Troubled Minds radio network that you can find at troubledminds.org. Just click the listen now on the very top, and you get 24 hours of Troubled Minds and Friends and more podcasts coming to the network. And of course, just spread the word. As always, the conversation is one of those that doesn't happen around the water cooler. We get together by dark of night for a reason. They look down on conspiracy theory. They look down on people who would think for themselves. But we together look up because somebody has to.
Embrace the enigmatic, flow beyond the story, see extraordinary magic.
The products are made with the highest quality materials and are backed by their satisfaction guarantee. Spirit Magica Crystal Shop are committed to helping you find the tools and resources you need to live a magical life. So what are you waiting for? Visit Spirit Magica today. Use coupon code Troubled Minds, all one word, at checkout for 25% off your first purchase.
Come on, reaching out.
KUAP, Digital Broadcasting, the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Making me crazy. I'm reaching out. Come on.
Yo, yo, yo.
I'm reaching out.
Tune.
I'm reaching out, reaching out.
What a great tune. I wonder who made that. That was an amazing tune. I might buy that. Oh, I made it. Don't need to buy it then, do I? Yay. Anyway, welcome back to the Eggs and Minds podcast with me, your host, Liam Martin. Shouts out to Iwox in the chat, Eriko. We've got Jess Rogue Show available on all your usual platforms, including the old YouTube there. Jess Rogue, good to see you. Get your wave. And yeah, I'm going to show soon, actually. I'm doing a feature. I'm going to be a guest on Jess Rogue's podcast. So yeah, we'll more details up in the future there. So I'll let you know about that when I do a show tomorrow. We'll hash something out, and I'll let you know when I know. And yeah, I'll be back on time tomorrow, 10 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. What was it? 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Back on time tomorrow. But today we're doing a bit of a late show, a few screw ups, but hey ho. Bohemian Grove. I just asked the computer, just said, hey, computer, what the hell's Bohemian Grove? And just as questions popped up, occurred to me, just asked it, and that's what we've been doing with this episode. So what I'm going to do then is we've talked about how it's super tight security and it's all in super secret, and we don't really trust in politicians at the minute. Polls are saying that, not really on it. Politicians are kind of known to be liars anyway. Is that a joke? You know the line, if they're moving their lips? And they do a ceremony at this Bohemian Grove, the Cremation of Care, which is very much like the Guy Fawkes ceremony that they get us to do en masse. We don't really think about the psychological impact of it. We have to make a dummy, basically, put it on a big fire and burn it, and then light fireworks to celebrate the death of this guy. But the fireworks are supposed to express, he's going to use dynamite to blow up Parliament. So that's like the dynamite blowing off. So it's like a schizophrenic kind of thing to do as well, because it's like, hang on a minute, it didn't blow it up though. It didn't set those dynamite off. So why are we setting the dynamite off? We're just doing it for fun. So it then changes the meaning of the dynamite from, this is a serious meaning. It was to get rid of these corrupt thing and to try and start a new thing for whatever his ideas were. No, he's doing that. But then it takes that. The thing that didn't happen, we're making it partly happen, but as a fun thing, rather than being a thing that may well have let politicians know that people won't take it if you try and do stuff. And it would have scared the crap out of them if it had got it. And then people have got the notion, if you start being corrupt and, and you go too far, we're breathing down your neck, making sure you're doing right. And if you start wavering, then we might blow you up if you go too far. But the reality is that we're actually supposed to breathe down their neck. And if one public servant, at least in this country, if one public servant does one thing, right, one public servant does one thing that is abusing their position, that's supposed to be considered treason against the people. And treason against the people is the kind of thing that in the olden days used to hang you in the street for that. It's the most heinous crime. It's the highest crime we've got laws for. And that's the reality of politics, is that we're supposed to govern ourselves through this mechanism so you can have a decision maker. And we're supposed to live in the heels of their shoes, right over the shoulders, just waiting for them to abuse the position. So we can go, get out. Get here, you're not in anymore. Get to prison, or just you're gone. Okay, caught you. And if they stole anything, give it back, and then you're not a politician anymore. And everybody knows that you're a little thief. Right? And that's the end of your career. That's the end of your reputation. That's supposed to be the fear. You get in a privileged position and a well-paid job, and that's enough. That should be enough for you. And if you take advantage, you're out. It's a simple rule, but we don't follow it up. We're the kings and queens of this thing, of this deal. And these are the servants, the public servants, robbing from the coffers. All right? And they've twisted us around where they're saying, no, we're in charge. And it's no, we're in freaking charge, and more of us, right? We should have already set this. We've let this slide. We've got comfort and let them do it and let them slide it over and invert the world and get us living in the upside down. Like Stranger Things, you know, like Michael Strange often says on the Troubled Minds radio show, flagship show for KWP. So anyway, moving on. I'm on my little rant again, but this is the point. And he's drilling home because, you know, it's up to us. It's up to us to do this, to be governing ourselves, like I say. But some people need governing because we've all been brainwashed to think, oh, we need to do it. Oh, we've got to, you know, and it's learned helplessness. And then they're going and meeting up, doing this, these meetings, and we don't know what they're saying, right? And we don't know what they're saying a lot of the time at the like public ones, you know. And they get caught saying a lot of dodgy stuff, and their emails get leaked, right? Because the human beings, they're probably just as incompetent as everyone else. So there's that to consider. So anyway, so I ask about this then, because it seems a bit sketchy, especially with the Guy Fawkes burning type thingy deal. A sacrifice seems a bit odd. I really don't do sacrificing anymore. It's very archaic, and they're using that archaic wording about being worthy. You know, the kind of like, you bestow you with the honor you deemed worthy. You know, that kind of language. So I'm thinking, okay, what does it mean about a sacrifice? I'll ask the computer, because it's the computer telling me this from what it's found on the internet. It's just sort of public record status quo stuff. So it says about the sacrifice, the concept of a mock sacrifice, even if purely symbolic and performed as a part of a theatrical event like the Cremation of Care at Bohemian Grove, can indeed seem unsettling or eerie to many people. The use of symbolic rituals includes a mock sacrifice is part of a tradition at Bohemian Grove intended to represent the release of worldly concerns, rather than an actual ritual sacrifice. However, okay, so that's fair. Okay, so, but if you put in a person, then, right, okay, it's not, say it's not, it's just you're going to burn something to release worldly concerns like the smoke and the fire. It's going up into the air, it's going away, you're letting your worries drift away. Like meditating, allow the thought to come and go like a cloud. Fair enough. But why a person? Of all the objects, of all the symbols, of all the icons you could burn, why people? Why not burn a tree? Or why not have a representational symbol that means, oh, stressy thinking, stressed thoughts, and burn that? No? Why not burn an apple? Or a banana shape? Why not burn a rock like this? The heavy weight carrying you, weighing you down. Why is it going to be a person of all the things? Of all the things, especially when there's such a thing as fire magic and blood magic, and people have blood and it represents people. Just too many. It's a bit, you know what I'm saying? It's a bit like, you know, like I once when I didn't have a washer when I first moved in here, my niece had to wash some clothes for me, right? Yeah, and she got kids, so she mixed in with my washing. When I got it back, it was just a one sock, one of their kids' socks, and one pair of pants. And I made it, and I found them, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm getting rid of these straight away," because having one pair of pants for a kid, as you know, in a guy's flat who lives alone, it's like, you just don't want it there, just in case. So you think you stay away from any associations, wouldn't you? And they got all these things stacking up. Do you know what I'm saying? Because to make it really, really suspicious. There's a point I'm making, you know, that one pair. Why have you got a pair of kids' pants at your flat? You got no kids. You're living alone, and just one. It requires an explanation, doesn't it? There's a washing machine explanation, but it's like, and as soon as I found him, I was like horrified at myself. Oh, fucking get rid of them quick, because if anyone ever finds them, they're gonna. But yeah, but these make it so suspect, because we've got this mock sacrifice of a person. It's a body, same as the Guy Fawkes thing. Oh man! And remember, Britain was like running everything for ages, so everything's kind of like a lot in the Western world. A lot of it's like coming from the traditions of England and Britain, and the traditions of England and Britain have been some really dark stuff. I don't know if people really realise that, but it's been a super oppressive monarchy situation since forever. Centuries and centuries and centuries, and that's why the Irish don't really like. There's a bit of conflict between Ireland and England because Ireland's separate from England. This is like a dictatorship that went over to Ireland a bit, and that's why there's a Northern Ireland and the rest of Ireland, because they're trying to stay loyal to England that invaded them, and then the others are like, no, stay Irish. They invaded us. He was a monarchy takeover tyrant people. You know, like the Darth Vader stuff. Yeah, right. Do you know? So I ask you, how has things changed? How much have things changed? And we're going back to Kennedy and Eisenhower, an open and free society. Secrecy should be repugnant. And they're not even embarrassed. They're like, no, it's normal. Yeah, it was just be everything's secret. You don't need to know. You don't need, why do you need to know? You don't need to know what we're talking about. And who are you? We're the kings and queens, remember? Back to the analogy, the robbing from the coffers and the actual reality of the situation and the pyramid actually being upside down. We're the champions. We're the kings. There's more of us. We're the people, right? We're the ones that are supposed to be running and governing ourselves. And it says even in the Bible, it says about like, don't be governed. You need to be able to self-govern. You need to be able to, and we've kind of gradually got oppressed and then brainwashed into thinking, no, we're supposed to be like this. We're supposed to be being told what to do when a good little robot. And now, I think in recent years, people have started to wake up. Over the last 20 years, it can gradually, things are wound up and wound up and wound up, so much, and then it's just hit a tipping point where people have gone, boom, this is ridiculous. This is a joke. What the hell? You know, you just keep lying again and again and again. There's this, there's that. Oh, and then we find this out later on, and then they hide this, and then, oh, they're going to lock these files away for this many decades and not tell you. And you're like, well, why not? You know, and then they keep doing these secret meetings and at these secret places. And now they're doing ritual sacrifices in private, which parallels one that Britain's been getting is doing for centuries. Anyway, so there's this fire thing that keeps coming on, you know, and it's rumored that, I mean, Michael Strange, Troubled Minds Radio, did a show on John Dee and one of the older queens of England that they may well have done a ritual sacrifice to try and summon the power to make Britain an empire. And the place where we're supposed to have done it just so happens to have, I think it's Finchley Park or something. And there's a grassy area where there's a perfect ring. It's a perfect ring where the grass won't grow. Nothing grows there. So there's a perfect circle, just random in the park where they're supposed to have done this ritual. And you're like, what? That's just like the movies. It's just left a perfect circle for your alchemy circle to where they've summoned something or something. Perfect circle, man. Where things won't grow. I thought about camping in the middle of it just to see what happens, but then I thought, no, it's probably not a good idea, really, because if something does happen, like really, no, maybe there's a constant stream of evil demon energy coming in on that spot. I'd spend the night there, I might wake up like nutter. You know, horns at the back of my head coming around, like that, turn into some Sith Lord or something. But yeah, embodied, get inside my body or something. But anyway, I don't know. But moving on, yeah, because with the burning the sacrifice thing, it's a bit, worrying about that, and I'm worrying about this, wondering what this owl is. So they're gathering in front of an owl and doing a ritual sacrifice at its foot, when you could be burning any object to get rid of your inhibitions. Yeah, speak a ritual circle, Enrico. Yeah, you know. So I'm thinking, what? So all right then. So they got this owl. So okay, so he called this owl. It's Moloch. ChatGPT, so it's known as Moloch, as well as the owl shrine, just general name in it, the owl shrine. But yeah, its name is Moloch. Okay, so I've asked him after talking about the sacrifice. Well, okay, so he can give me any details on the Moloch name given to the owl statue. So the computer looked it up and said the association of the owl statue at Bohemian Grove with the name Moloch has largely arisen from certain conspiracy theories and speculative claims. Moloch is an ancient deity mentioned in various historical texts, often associated with child sacrifice and worship in some ancient cultures. The hello. That's what ChatGPT looked up to see what the Moloch name is an association with, so can you tell me about this monarch? I mean, it was ChatGPT that brought on the name monarch. So what's that? What's this monarch? And it says the association of the ritual monarch for the owl. And the owl is the ancient deity mentioned in various historical texts, not as the one-off thing. It's a known deity from ancient cultures. And various historical texts often associated it with child sacrifice. Well, isn't that especially alarming? I find it especially alarming considering that, in Britain, Prince Andrew got, has been caught doing some bad stuff, perhaps to do with kids with the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff and the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. And there was this big story coming out, and then it kind of went away because it was the big global emergency. And then that story never really got talked about. But then the Queen's died. Queen Elizabeth II passed away, and then King Charles came in as the king. But his brother's like kicked out now because of these child stuff, and stuff to do with other politicians. And then it starts getting really funky, and you're like, well, what's going on with? And then because that's like to do with minors and underage people, then it's a bit alarming to find out that this monarch statue is associated with child sacrifice. And you're like, what is this? What is this? But then the computer goes on to say, however, linking the owl statue at Bohemian Grove directly to Moloch is largely based on speculative and unfounded theories, rather than concrete evidence or official acknowledgement. It's like, yeah, the name has been associated with it, but we didn't see it on the Bohemian Grove, on the Bohemian Club, or when it was describing Bohemian Grove. It didn't mention the owl. So it didn't give it a name. Didn't say it was called that. So it might not be. They might not be calling it that. It might not reference that. But it's this owl statue. So I don't know any other kind of owl deities that are mentioned in many various historical texts. So, but then the only other association I can think to pick an owl is, and it's I found out from ChatGPT, Moloch and this ancient owl statue thing associated with child sacrifice. But the only other owl association, I suppose you could call a kind of a deity, I can think of is when people have talk about alien abduction encounters, and they get a kind of screen memory where they, beings with large eyes are represented, adjust your perception a bit, so it looks like a large owl. And I'm thinking, well, are they worshipping an alien then? Is it to refer to an alien or this child sacrifice deity from ancient times? The only two owl associations I can think of where you can consider something like a deity or an icon or something to give a gift to, because that's what the sacrificing's for, isn't it? It's to say thanks and so forth, to encourage the gods or the deity to give you something. You know what I mean? We used to slaughter, I don't know, what do we slaughter animals and stuff for the gods to like make it rain, or you know what I mean? You understand the notion. So it's like, well, what is it about? Just happens to be an owl. So is it aliens or is it the child sacrificing thing, deity that's mentioned in various historical texts? But we don't know. So, but obviously, the computer goes on to say these theories suggest that the owl statue is a representation of the ancient deity. Okay, with which implies darker rituals and symbolism during the gatherings. But despite lacking substantial evidence or validation from the attendees or officials associated with the grove, like I say, it's not even mentioned on the website, and there's definitely no name being associated to it. So I then thought, I'll ask the computer, why are they doing ritual ceremony in the first place? Isn't that synonymous with magic? And the computer says, the ritual ceremonies conducted at Bohemian Grove, such as the Cremation of Care, are primarily theatrical performances and symbolic rituals. Well, that's symbolic magic. You get sympathetic magic. You have a St. Christopher, let's say, pendant around your chest, hoping to gain favor from St. Christopher to get protection. Sympathetic magic. You wear the symbol of something that you want to come to you. So when you see that Turkish eye, some people call it the evil eye, so they might think it's evil, but no, it's like the opposite to that. That eye is to hope to attract a watchful eye. Not to cast evil on you, not going to curse yourself. No, to watch over you. Much the same as like an angel. Like you get your St. Christopher and stuff, or you know, St. Michael, picture St. Michael, hoping that St. Michael will watch over you because it's sympathetic, you know, a picture. Look, I've got a picture of you, and he sees a picture, you know, sends a picture of himself. And so he can be there on you as well as wherever he's from or wherever he is, kind of thing. And that's the whole point of wearing these things and these like lucky charms. That's what they're for. So it's sympathetic magic. So doing symbolic rituals, it will create some kind of sympathetic magic, you know. And if you're thinking of worldly concerns and putting it into an effigy that's the shape of a person and then burn that, then what about the persons? Are we then being burned in some way? Is some part of, do you know what I'm saying? From our side. So I'm getting at. But then the computer goes on to say that these ceremonies, like I said, are more symbolic acts, as often to create a specific atmosphere or convey a message. So it's not just symbolic and maybe linked to occult magic and loosely link it to that. But these ceremonies, symbolic acts, are often indicated to create a certain atmosphere. Yeah, the cremation of care to get rid of your inhibitions to do whatever, and then with the Prince Andrew type stuff, and Ghislaine Maxwell stuff, and Epstein stuff, you think, oh, wait, that looks a bit suspect for me. So then you think they'd be stepping back from it, or maybe after all these decades, they'd say, hey, no, this is what happens here, and let the cameras go around and have a look. Why aren't they? Especially now, especially if you can, it looks really suspect like that. You'd think they'd be desperate to dispel those kind of ideas. You wouldn't dispel that, surely. But anyway, it goes on to say the use of ritualistic elements in these ceremonies may draw from historical or cultural symbols to create a sense of tradition or significance. However, attributing magical or occult intentions to these rituals is often based on speculation or misunderstanding rather than actual practices of magic or the occult. Okay, but like I always say, the symbolism is there, and they do other rituals, and there's the Masons thing famously, and the apron that Buzz Aldrin had on the moon, the Mason thing, whatever, in the moon video. Stanley Kubrick one. But yeah, so there are these rituals that go on, and things are often done on auspicious days that are auspicious with like the transits of certain planets. That happens a lot. Well, you often key political things, if you check back, I can't think of any examples, but some big events have happened in the world where Venus is transiting to the sun. That happens quite a lot. I think there was some major bombing that's famous in history that happened during a transit of Venus, and then there was another one that was major, and same again. There is a lot of astrology, astro links, and plus a lot of these people are sort of religious, and any religion can go there, so they can use all religious iconography and go for all threads. And that's the computer saying that these ceremonies may draw from historical and cultural symbols to create as part of the tradition, and they're going all into the whole thing. So the whole thing seems like a magical event to me. The gathering itself, there are lots of people there, they're being free and carefree, even if they're not doing dodgy stuff, it's still a kind of a magical happening, and it's at the opposite end of the year of Halloween, so like one door, the other ends of a cycle, the start of a cycle. It's kind of that stuff. It's interesting that it is around the time of the opposite end of Halloween. They don't say the specific date is going to be secret, but you always know it's going to be around there. It's always is. So, going to the camp thing at the Grove. So, but I pose the question: if this then is private thing and they're using this to send messages, well, who are the messages for if not in public? If it's not in public and they're with each other and they're sending messages through symbolism, well, who are they sending the messages to? So ChatGPT says, that's an interesting point. Even though the rituals and ceremonies of Bohemian Grove are private and closed to the public, the messages conveyed through these performances may have multiple intended audiences or purposes. And it lists some possibilities. It says members and participants, the primary audience, the rituals are likely the attendees themselves as the intended purpose of the messages. So they're giving each other like orders for the year or a message for the year, right? The ceremonies may serve as a form of tradition, bonding, setting specific tone for the event. Okay, be carefree, but here's some messages that we want to give to you. They might aim to create a sense of camaraderie and shared experience. Yeah, they're getting together. We're all in it together. One big club, right? The elites. We're all celebrities just by joining, just by being accepted. That's what they said in their own literature, right? So it's a big egotistical slap each other on the back, slap each other on the ass kind of thing, by its own, standards and by what it says of its own literature and by what the computer's logic says. Okay, so symbology and allegory. These messages within the rituals may carry symbolic meanings relevant to the attendees. So specific symbolic, speaking in symbolic language to each other. That's what the computer says. They could represent broader themes or concepts important to the group. Secret messages for secret plans by secretive people at secret meetings. What more do you need? Yeah, Enrico, that's where we're going. Enrico, you'd skipped ahead to the future. Exactly, that's where I was going. What about the unconscious messaging? When you're using ritualistic symbolic speech and symbolic stuff that's abstract, sending a general message to whole masses, it's got to be a little bit generic, but then it specifically mentions might have specific meanings for attendees, like almost like specific orders, and plus it's all archetypal stuff, and the symbolism that they use is the same symbolism that's been used again and again for ancient times. So it's gonna act on your unconscious mind because it's already embedded in there, and you might not even notice. Right? So they're brainwashing themselves. So whoever's running it can potentially brainwash them, and they're all willingly going in there and getting themselves in a perfect state, trance-like state to get brainwashed as good as possible. So I ask you, why don't they show us? Probably because it kind of, I don't know, because it kind of looks like, Anyway, moving on. What else did the computer say? It's all right, yeah. Private rituals with exclusive groups often serve to maintain a sense of tradition and exclusivity. Elitism. Okay. They reinforce a sense of identity and belonging within the group. We're up here, and those peasants, those eyesores of people must not be here. They must go away. Public people, such an eyesore. Okay, ambience and entertainments. So the ceremonies might also contribute to an overall atmosphere of the event, providing entertainment or a sense of spectacle for the attendees. A spectacle for the attendees. That looks like exactly what it is, especially if you look at the video. You've got to do your own homework for that one. Yeah, a spectacle. I will make you a spectacle. They are making you a spectacle. That's a statement from the Bible, that is. I will make you a spectacle. Go and look that up. I will make you a spectacle. Go and look up that quote. I'm not sure where it comes from. Anywho. Moving on. While the rituals are not meant for the public consumption. Okay. They're not meant for the public consumption, but their symbolism or messages might directly affect perception or discussion outside the grove. Speculate maybe with the unconscious stuff, like Enrico mentioned. Speculation and curiosity arising from the secrecy of these ceremonies might prompt discussions or interpretations in the public sphere, like this one, despite the private nature of the event. So yeah, we can have this discussion wondering, but the ceremonies, like you say, might act on you consciously or unconsciously on these people, and it might prompt discussion or interpretations in the public sphere. So yeah, so when they leave the grove and they go back home and go back to the job and go back doing whatever they're doing and running countries and stuff and going back to the businesses, they're still going to have the memories of those events, aren't they? They're still going to have the memories of everything that happened there and the memories of all the symbolism. Okay. Everything goes in your unconscious mind anyway, so it's still it could well affect them in their everyday life afterwards. And now maybe they've changed, right? In some way, like they've changed their mind about something, or they've decided this, or they've heard this message from so-and-so's doing this, so then that might influence how they would respond. Now they've got that information, right? Your whole gestalt's with you all the time. Your whole everything, your whole gestalt is always with you. So whatever's in there is in there. So then I'm thinking, but then doesn't that reinforce the elitist separation of politicians and the general public even further, and affect the psychology of those who are present to see the masses as inferior? The computer said the exclusivity and the secrecy surrounding events like Bohemian Grove can indeed perpetuate a sense of separation between influential individuals and the general public. The private nature of these gatherings might reinforce the perception of an elite class that operates separately from the concerns and experiences of the wider population. All right. And the City of London is a separate state from the rest of England, much like the Vatican's a separate state from the rest of Italy, and so on. And I think there's a situation like that in the state of Colombia as well. 1761, I think, if you look it up, made an agreement to do that. London's the finance sector, Vatican's the bank, and state of Colombia is the military wing. So through the state of Colombia, that's how the US military is able to be used as a kind of world police through these agreements with the Vatican and the City of London. You know, and the City of London is in the place where they did the Guy Fawkes effigy burning thing, right? Where he was going to do it. So then it links the City of London into all this elite stuff over to Bohemian Grove. You know what I'm saying? So it links it all together. And it says, yeah, okay, so yeah, they're reinforcing this sense that they're kind of better than us. We talked about that, George Carlin. So anyway, let's quick, because I mentioned Moloch now. Get me a keyboard out. Because I mentioned Moloch, let's get a picture and see what Wikipedia says, just to give it its due, so they know I'm not just speculating and stuff. So Moloch is the name or a term. Yeah, let's do a quick picture for the video viewers. I'll zoom in a little bit. I'll get my mouse off this screen here. So Moloch is a name or a term which appears in the Hebrew Bible several times, primarily in the book of Leviticus. The Bible strongly condemns practices which are associated with Moloch, practices which appear to have included child sacrifice. Traditionally, the name Moloch has been understood as referring to a Canaanite god. Canaanites are a religion, a group of Semitic religious people. The Canaanites live in the Bronze Age, early Bronze Age. Okay, so this dates back to the early Bronze Age. Traditionally, the name Moloch has been understood as referring to the Canaanite god. However, since 1935, scholars have debated whether or not the term refers to a type of sacrifice on the basis of a similar term, which also spell MLK or Mulk, which means sacrifice. Maybe they're mixing the name Moloch with the name Mulk. So Moloch itself might mean sacrifice in the Punic languages, which are the languages of Carthaginian, an extinct variety of Phoenician languages from the northwest Semitic branch of the Semitic languages, an offshoot from Phoenician. So yeah, in the Punic languages. So it's in the old Phoenician languages, the Semitic speaking. So and then remember it mentions 4 pillars plus science, which makes 5 pillars, and there's 5 pillars of Islam. So it's all this religious stuff, and then so you've got Islam and the Bible sort of associated with this. The word itself, the name itself, Moloch, could be associated with meaning sacrifice. And they've brought that in 1935, which is only 3 years after the Grove was built, I think. The Bohemian Grove, I'm sure it was 1932. So around that same time, the meaning sacrifice is coming in as a potential meaning for Moloch or Molk or Molech. So just for posterity and just to show that I'm, not just kind of making it up. It's all just official narrative stuff, official public Wikipedia and coming from the computer. Okay, so I mean, I don't really know what to think of it, but moving on. This looks really suspect, doesn't it? So yeah, it reinforces the separation between the public and then they're like a breakaway kind of civilization. Just in the way that they behave, and then consider what secret sort of technologies that militaries have, so that their enemies don't find them, don't find out what they've got and stuff, and you don't even get a hint of it, so they don't try working on the same kind of thing. So we always know our military technology is way better. So what technology have these people got in the background? Because they're obviously using the best stuff. They're going to want to have all the best of everything, because they're elitists, aren't they? And they're getting away with it because we're not breathing down the neck. We've allowed them to start having way too much power and too much control. We haven't kept them in check. And they've ended up almost back into a kind of slave-like oppression position. And people have seemed to, we've kind of forgot and got comfortable, it seems to me. And then it's kind of hit us, sort of thing. It's got really out of hand, So yeah, but they continue to do this stuff regardless, don't they? And the public's like angry. A lot of this stuff's taxpayers' money because it's like official events and stuff, and although it's a private club, they're still going around, flying around, having these sort of private jets and on the taxpayer money to go and meet people, meet delegates to go do this, and they've got the network in there anyway. They're on taxpayer money with that. What's going on with this stuff? And in ChatGPT, it's understandable that the public have got concerns about how public figures use their time and resources, especially working for us, that work for us. So you've got to be concerned about it, and it's within our interest to know about it. And all this stuff that remember, everything they do is supposed to be within the best interest of the people that live in their country at all times. The perception of influential leaders engaging in elaborate private ceremonies or retreats while in public office can indeed raise questions about the priorities and the use of public funds. That's what the computer says. The computer knows it's impartial. The computer just says, yeah, that's fair enough. It's fair point. That's not trying to fact check me and go, oh, no, because Donald Trump said this. No, it's impartial. It's doing pure logic. And that's what I want to do. I want a logical conversation, And like I say, I didn't research anything. I've gone on no websites to go and look, just the official Bohemian Club website. And that Wikipedia entry of what monarch means. And, just reading this stuff. And this is what's coming back when I'm just asking for it. Asking what's Bohemian Grove, and obvious questions. So if these things are facilitating viable conversations or relationships, then could they indirectly impact on the governance? That should absolutely be a public thing. And these conversations should absolutely be shared and may well lead to political action that the public's unaware of if it's done in private. And thus, they cannot possibly be given as informed consent on these decisions. So I've asked the computer, is that correct? And it's gone, absolutely. You raise an essential point about the need for transparency in government, especially concerning conversations or relationships that might influence political actions or decisions. In a democratic system, transparency is crucial for ensuring informed consent from the public. With influential figures engaging in discussions or forming relationships that could impact governance, it's essential that the outcomes of the potential effects of these interactions are communicated with transparency to the public. That's what the computer says. You should be telling us what you're talking about. But how can we verify what they're talking about when everything's secret and nobody's allowed in? And they never show anything about anything and they don't want you to know. Right? It's like a no man's land. It's like a law-free zone where they can do whatever the hell they want. And once you've talked about the things and made the decisions and agreed to do the things, you've done it, haven't you? It's done. And there's been no discussion, no interaction with the public, no nothing, just done. And it's all going on inside a person's head, and it's all being communicated with symbolism. So nobody knows anything about anything. None of the public can ever possibly know what they've decided or talked about. And it is absolutely going to influence them, these interactions. And they're not in silence the whole time, are they? And even if there was, they've got phones to text each other. So, you know, openness, this is the computer saying that, absolutely. These interactions must be communicated to the public. They said it's, you know, it's absolutely, you raise an essential point. This is the essential point. Okay. So I said to the computer, so to put it plainly, it can be assumed it's in everyone's best interest to dispel the mystery and show the public what is happening to alleviate fear. They should be showing us. Well, we've been saying all the way through the show. So the fact that they don't implies that there's something to hide. Is this a logical assumption? In many cases, yes. It's logical to assume that dispelling mystery and being transparent about discussions or events involving influential figures can alleviate public concern and foster trust. When there's lack of transparency and a deliberate effort to keep activities or conversations hidden, it often raises suspicions and prompts questions about what might be concealed. The absence of transparency can create the perception that there's something to hide. Whether it involves political decisions, discussions among influential individuals, or private gatherings, the perception of the secrecy can fuel mistrust and speculation, leading people to question the motives or intentions behind the secrecy. It's bound to happen. It's bound to cause loads of suspicion, right? While there might be reasons for maintaining some level of confidentiality in certain situations, especially concerning sensitive matters like national security, for example, leaders should consider the broader implications of secrecy. But they just don't. And it's a vital point that they need to be, and they just don't. And that's essential to have a free and open society, and they just don't. So have you got a free and open society? Being open and transparent about decisions or events that impact governance can contribute to public confidence, dispel misunderstandings, and ensure accountability. When there's a deliberate effort to maintain secrecy without justifiable reasons, it's natural for people to question why information is being withheld. This can erode the trust and contribute to the perception of opacity or hidden agendas, even if the reality might be more benign. So they're not doing themselves any favors, they're making a rod for their own back, and they don't care. In summary, from the computer, while not all private discussions need to be public, maintaining transparency about matters that impact the public interest is generally seen as a vital aspect of accountability and trustworthy governance. They're not holding themselves to any accountability. The computer is essentially saying they're not trustworthy if they're doing that. And that's the pure logic from the computer, just doing status quo public information stuff when I ask basic questions. So there we go. I mean, you make up your own mind. But just before we go, because we've got to wrap up the show now, I'll just quickly show you a picture of Monarch there for anyone on the video thing. There was a quick read I was going to read, but we've already had a quick read about it. And here's a picture of Capitol Hill. Is an aerial view of Capitol Hill, and the design of all the roads moving around Capitol Hill makes the shape of an owl. So the top left and right corner have two oval shapes pointing towards the corners, just look a bit like owl eyes. And it's got a bit of an arced road across the top that joins the two eyes, so, you know, which would be lining the head. And it's got two wide roads, well, arcing all the way around, a big like circle underneath that, just going around Capitol Hill, like the fat body of an owl. And at the bottom, it's got another circle and then two lines going through it to make like legs. And then there's two roundabouts that look like joints for the legs, and then two long roads that go off of that to make it the owl legs. So I don't know. You make up your own mind. But I think Capitol Hill, an aerial view, looks just like an owl. And that came up all over the shop at Bohemian Grove. So, geez Louise. We've become like sheep. Well, we have, but then you can... Brian Clough manager for Nottingham Forest, Nottingham Morale, used to say, it only takes a second to score, young man. All right. And what that means is, yeah, we're only sheep until we're not, you know, and we have been like sheep, Eriko. It is a bit sad, but I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of people who are not sheep anymore. All of a sudden, just like that, boom, just not sheep anymore. And take heart in that, because it only takes a second to flip. It only takes a second to think, hang on a minute, and turn around, you know? So, and I think the way these politicians are acting at the minute, people are just going to keep on, quote unquote, waking up. And once you go, you never go back, do you? You never go back. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So take heart, right? And know that humans win. Anyway. Don't want to get too ranty. Okay, I'm gonna have to end the show now. I've got no idea how long I've been going. About 2 hours and 15 minutes, so I better blast right past the end. Anyway, well, bit of bonus time. There is hope for us. Yeah, like I say, this is our shot. Eriko, I'm telling you, I think this is our shot right now. This is a prominent time. And I think the world's going to get really funky in the next 5 years, and prepare yourself. Get your body strong. Get yourself healthy. Make sure you got your little network. Talk to your neighbours. Do you know what I'm saying? Just do that. Just get your body strong. Get your mind strong as you can. And make sure you've got a little community right with you. You know your neighbours and stuff, and just be ready to help out. And you know what I'm saying? It will be all right. I've been here before. I've been here a long time, man. So I think, yeah, we just got to toughen ourselves up a bit. Like I say, especially after the global crisis, we've all probably been, staying at home, not being fit, going to the gym and stuff. So yeah, get your body right, get your mind right as best you can. As long as you've got your community, we'll be fine. We'll get through it. We're amazing. We really have to. Like in Starman, that film with Jeff Bridges, you say humans are at the best when things are at the worst. And that's the thing about us. We do, So yeah, take heart. And also remember that we're all psychic, and we've got loads of abilities that we haven't unlocked that have been, dumbed down as well. So maybe learn some of them, innit? Maybe go and learn some of them. But anyhow, let's put some music on. Let's put another little trailer thingy on that I made. And I will see y'all. When will I see you? Tomorrow, 10 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Exile Minds podcast. Signing out. In fact, I'll play this one. I'll play that one earlier. Exile Minds podcast. Signing out. And I shall see you tomorrow. Thanks for listening to this show on Bohemian Grove, and encourage you to go and look into it yourself if you find it of interest, because there ain't going to be any links in the older show thing there, because it was just like the computer talking. Anyhow, right, let's get some music playing.
The same God.
And we'll fade out. Thanks for tuning in, Eriko. Shouts out to Jess, Iwox, James in the background there, Daryl, and Ezazri, whose name I can't say. Spend inside your nose. Oh, thanks for joining. I didn't notice you there. Thank you, shout out. Thanks for letting me know on the no audio on YouTube and Rumble. Anyway, I'll catch you soon, folks. And I'll let you know about going on Jess Rogue show. Take it easy. See you soon. And then tonight's podcast with me, the incredibly famous host, Liam. Tune in to Troubled Minds Radio, KUEP, digital broadcasting, and I shall see you later.
You are a strange species. Not like any other. You would be surprised how many you are. Intelligent and savage.
Hey Vincent, why do they call aliens chicks?
Because they look like chicos. They're like fleas. They grow because of your skin.
To me, they look more like praying mantis.
You don't understand the first thing about humans. They're at their most formidable when they're threatened.
That challenge is one that we're willing to accept.
one we are unwilling to postpone.
You are at your past and stories.
You're tuned into Troubled Minds Radio Network on KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where we peer into the future, embrace the power of AI, and delve deep into the conspiracies that shape our world.
Are you looking for a way to connect with your spirituality? Look no further than Spirit Magica Crystal Shop. They have a wide variety of crystals, from amethyst to obsidian.